Welcome to Cornerstone Wellness. This is a tutorial for the Physician Administration site. This site stores all patient data, access to the installation for device software, support documents to run your program, and the shopping cart to order Cornerstone Wellness products wholesale. In order to access the site, you will need to be assigned a unique username and password for your practice. This is provided by Cornerstone Wellness when you set up the program. If you do not know your username and password, please contact us for assistance. Enter your unique username and password to log into the site. From here, you have an option to either manage users, access help, which provides all the support documents and training. This includes enrollment forms for your patient, recipes for meal replacements, instructions for the patient, and then there's also a shopping cart where you can order products. The first step is to add new users to the program. Click on Add New User. You need to assign each patient a unique username, either user EMR ID number or a combination of first name, last name, and date of birth. Example, patient's name is Jane Smith, so first initial, last name, born January 10th, 1964. First initial, last name, 6-digit date of birth. Then simply pick up the last four, in this case 1064, to have a unique password for each patient. You need to include an email. You select a client, being your clinic, your practice, and then type in the patient's first name, last name, city, state, zip code, and telephone number. Note on the telephone number, you need to put a hyphen between the numbers as this format shows. Continue on with their date of birth, height, and weight, time zone. Under activity profile, you want to always default normal regardless of a person's activity level and create a new user. Once you've created a new user, you can go back to your main list, which will show a listing below of all of your patients alphabetically, or you can use a filter to access quickly. So I'm going to access a patient last name test, run a search, and we'll select Sue Test. Click on the patient's name, and when you do so, a bar graph will come up to the right with details. It will show the last reading taken. In this sample case, her body fat's at 38%. You'll have an option to print a reading or take a new test. The first time you log on, you need to install the BC4 device software. On this demo, it says unable to find a device simply because there's not a device connected to this computer. When you initially come on, you need to create a new username and password for initial patient in order to activate the installation process. When you do so, you'll see in red, it will say download Reb Client to install device. Step 1, connect your BC4 to the USB port. The software can be installed on multiple computers, but you must connect the device to the computer in order to run a test. After you install the software, it will say Test Service, which will confirm your device is installed properly. If there's any difficulty, there's an email link directly to tech support or contact us by phone. Then, step 3, take a test. So rather than saying find device here, your program, once installed, will say take test. Once you've taken a test, you go down to view the dashboard for the patient. Once you've clicked on view dashboard, you're now in the patient's direct website. This is where they're able to access and view all information from their own computer at home. All data entered by the patient will be accessible to your office anytime simply by selecting their name and going to their dashboard. This includes their meal planning, their exercise, and the journal. So the first page is called the dashboard. The data includes their weight, lean body mass, and body fat. The lean body mass is essential to explain as this directly affects the patient's basal metabolic rate. If a person's lean body mass goes down, so does their basal metabolic rate. There is a patient demo which you're going to want to view independently of this tutorial that will review this in depth. The only two things that maintain muscle in the lean body mass are protein and exercise. And it's very important during the consultation, both of these topics. Before we review the patient website, I want to review the features within the system admin for managing users. Enter the patient's name or any part of it and do a search. In this case, the patient that we're using as an example is Sue Test. When you highlight this name, you'll see the initial BC4 reading date, the most recent date, and the last time the patient logged into the site. This is extremely useful information to make sure that patients are coming in for consistent follow-up and that they're actually using the website. If you want to edit anything within their profile, including calories, body fat, percent, any changes that you want to make, use the edit feature to the right. This will bring up, number one, the patient's username. If you need to change their password, it is done in the edit email. If you need to deactivate the patient, you can do that by checking disable and the information down below. In the patient website, there is an option to show different goals, different calorie goals, but if you want to lock them in, it must be done from the physician's admin section. So if you want to change the calories that are preset by default by the Cornerstone program, you would change it under consumption goal. If you want to change a body fat goal, you would again change it here, and then be sure at the bottom to save changes. The Cornerstone Wellness Program defaults a woman's body fat to 26% and a man's body fat to 18%. If you want to change that goal, this is the section to do it in. Now that we've reviewed how to edit patient data, we're going to return to the patient website. Again, you select the patient's name, you scroll down on the right and go to View Dashboard, which will take you directly back to the patient's main site. Within the dashboard, you'll be able to conduct new tests and review the data. If you want to see prior tests, you want to see your year-to-date results, there is an expand button by body fat, by weight, and lean body mass. You simply click on expand, and it will show you a graph that you can choose by year, month, or week. This is a great visual tool for tracking with your patient to make sure body fat is going down. You may frequently find lean body mass will go up, especially with women that have had an insufficient level of protein in their diet prior to this program. To return to the dashboard, simply collapse and you're back in the dashboard. There are several options for the patient, including my goals, nutrition, exercise, reports, and keeping a journal. When the patient's home, they can go in and add personal goals and upcoming events. Where we want to focus on the office consultation is on nutrition and exercise. So you click on nutrition, and the first time you go into nutrition, you want to go to My Nutritional Targets. This is a great explanation for patients to talk about why Cornerstone Wellness is unique. Everybody has heard if you eat less than you burn and you exercise more, you'll lose weight. The problem with that theory is if people are not taking in sufficient protein, they're going to end up losing lean body mass, which is going to slow down their basal metabolic rate. Cornerstone Wellness is a fat loss program, and within these recommendations and targets, this is where you're going to review with the patient what they need to do. So, progressing forward on this example of a patient, again, she's 160 pounds, 38% body fat. Her basal metabolic rate, which is determined by the amount of lean body mass, is 1,396 calories a day. The Cornerstone program takes a calculation of 10% less than a person's BMR, regardless of activity. If this patient is doing no exercise, she's sedentary, it means that her daily caloric expenditure is 1,675. If she's exercising lightly, 1 to 3 times a week, it goes up to 1,920 calories. If it goes to moderate exercise, 2,164. Heavy exercise, 2,408. So this is a great time to emphasize the more exercise you do, the faster you're going to see results. But you have to keep it real for a patient. Again, if somebody's sedentary, this is a great opportunity to encourage light exercise. Your patient wants to please their doctor. They're going to want to make an exercise commitment along with nutrition. So again, regardless of what we put in, our program is going to take this number, a person's BMR, minus 10%. So I'm going to select for this patient light exercise, and let's proceed to the next page. On the next page, the daily target calories will be set. In this case, 1,207 calories. It will tell us how many pounds a week she can expect to lose on those calories, which is 1.4 pounds a week. I always like to take that number out and look at it by a monthly basis. This represents almost 6 pounds a month. For women, it's going to be realistic that 80% of weight loss should be fat loss. For men, they may lose more fat without losing any lean body mass. And the time it will get for her to get to goal. Now, this change of 27 pounds is a moving target. If she is gaining muscle as she's losing fat, these numbers are going to constantly change. In the case that our calculation comes up where a patient's calories are less than 1,200, and all I did was select the blue button here, which dropped her to 1157, a caution comes up saying, we recommend, and in fact the American College of Sports Medicine recommends, that calories are not dropped below 1,200 calories a day for women. The same message will appear with men, with a caution at 1,800 calories. As a physician, you have the full ability to set calories wherever you choose, but as a standard method, we recommend keeping people here. Now that we know the daily target calories, the amount of weight a patient will expect to lose, and the time frame, the next step is to continue to do an allocation of proteins, carbohydrate, and fat. Cornerstone Wellness allocates 35% of calories from carbohydrates, 35% from protein, 30% from fat. These ratios work beautifully when somebody is trying to reduce body fat. You as a physician have full ability to adjust these ratios as you deem appropriate. In a case where a patient has reached a plateau, you might want to adjust the carbohydrates temporarily. There's also a drop-down menu with different programs you may choose from, but the default of 35% protein, carbs, 30% from fat works very well. Occasionally, you'll do a body composition analysis where the patient has no excess body fat, there's no red on their pie graph, and you're simply using the website to maintain nutrition. Our recommendation is that when you have a fit, active person, you want to put carbohydrates at 50%, protein and fat at 25%. But again, that is only mentioned in the case when you have a fit, active person with no red on their chart. So, for weight loss, for fat loss, we've got our ratios at 35, 35, 30, and you always click to save changes. Now you can continue into the patient's food log, where each day they're going to be able to enter their foods, keep a running diary of what they're eating, how close they are to their goals, and as they come back in, you'll be able to see on a regular basis how well they're doing. Now we're ready to make a sample meal plan for Cornerstone Wellness. During the initial consult, a sample meal plan should be completed by the coach for the patient. In order to have the calorie tracking governor appear to the right, a food must be entered at breakfast, lunch, dinner, or snacks. You want to create a sample one-day plan of what a patient should be doing rather than what they're doing currently, since what they're doing currently is not working well for them. Once you've created a sample, it can be saved for the patient's future reference. So in order to add foods, you simply click on breakfast, lunch, dinner, or snack, and there's two options on how to enter foods. Click on favorites, and a list of approximately 45 preset items will come up, which makes a sample menu very easy to create. Or you can click on search, which will bring you to the USDA database with over 8,000 different items. I'm going to type in, as an example, oatmeal and do a search. And as you can see, all kinds of different oatmeals fill in. Then the patient could click on it. It comes up. They could add this to their personal favorites list and add to their food log. But while you're doing a consult in the office, our suggestion is that you start by staying in favorites. So I'm going to go in at breakfast, and I'm going to put in Cornerstone powder, 1 serving, and I'm going to put in milk. In her case, because she's only on 1,200 calories, I'm going to put in 2% milk. Always pay attention to serving size. A serving size here says 1 cup, which will be 1 serving, and add to food log. This is a good time to stop and have a conversation with the patient about what they need to do each day. In this example, the patient's allowed just over 1,200 calories a day with the goal of not exceeding 106 grams of carbs while reaching 106 grams of protein. Before you can tell a patient what they need to be doing, you want to review what the patient's currently eating prior to coming to you for a wellness consult. You want to review the foods listed on their enrollment document, and you're looking specifically for protein intake. Published studies show that for fat loss, a man needs to consume 1.5 grams of protein for every kilogram of weight, and women need to consume 1.4 grams per kilogram. The problem with lower protein intake is the outdated concept of eating less and exercising more. If you're not consuming sufficient protein to maintain muscle during weight loss, the body will burn muscle, thus reducing lean body mass and basal metabolic rate, which will make weight loss harder the next time. This is the ideal time to have a conversation about the Cornerstone Shake, Metacyst, and Omega Health. So I'm going to go in and continue to round out her breakfast. I'm going to add a banana, half a banana actually, at her breakfast. So banana, 1/2 serving. And I'm going to go in at lunchtime and let's give her her second shake. My suggestion to you is that you start by filling in shakes and then filling in a balanced dinner, filling in snacks, and keep looking back at your calories to make sure that you're still within goals. So at lunch now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some strawberries. Now it says the serving size 1 cup. I'm going to put in half of a serving. Okay, so we've put in her 2 shakes with milk and fruit. We've only used up 634 calories, and we're almost 60% to where she needs to be on her protein intake. I'm going to go down to dinner. I'm going to start by adding dinner. Let's say she has some salmon. A serving size says 3 ounces, equivalent to about a size of a deck of cards. So let's do salmon. And let's go in and put in some broccoli. Let's put 1 cup. And let's put in some rice. Let's say half a cup, which is half a serving. And again, always looking back at your calories. We're at 950 calories, and we're about 10 grams away from where she needs to be on her protein, and we're still below her carb intake. Let's go in at snacks, and I'm going to put in her snack. Let's put in an apple, and let's put in a piece of string cheese. So cheese, string cheese, 1 serving. Okay, and as I'm adding foods in fact, that is about as spot on as you can get. She's actually only at 1,090 on her calories, but she's almost exactly on her protein, carbs, fat. A little bit low on fiber. We could add a little bit more vegetables in. Let's type in carrots in the USDA database, just to give you an example. Let's find raw carrots, 1 cup. And close. Okay, so she's a little low on her calories, but the ratios look really good here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save this day. I'm going to click on sample day and save. Now, when she comes back to her meal planning tomorrow, she'll be able to go into the meal planning button and she'll be able to select from her saved menus. Perhaps she's having steak instead of salmon, a potato instead of rice, but by giving her a basic template and a guideline, they're going home with the tools that they need to keep planning forward. Okay, so we've talked about my food log, we've talked about meal planning, my nutritional targets. 2 more points to review in nutrition. One is called My Food Favorites. Each patient has the ability to add on to their own personal food favorites from their freezer, from their pantry, from their favorite restaurants or recipes. All they need to do is enter in the name of the food, serving size, calories, carbohydrates, protein, fat, and add new favorite, and that will add items onto their own food favorites list. The other tool, which is very helpful for people on the go, is called the Food Database. In addition to the 8,000 items in the USDA database, you can enter foods in from restaurants. For example, I'm going to type in Wendy's, and you always check this include user-added food entries and do a search. And all the items that people have entered in from Wendy's come in below. For example, let's say that Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich, wow, okay, 470 calories, 55 grams of carbohydrates, 27 grams of protein. It doesn't mean that they can't have that. It simply means they need to know what's in it so they can add it into their food log and keep track. So this is a very helpful tool for people on the go. Two final topics to touch on. One is the journal feature. The journal feature allows the patient to go in and make written journal entries. This may include questions that they have for you to review during follow-up appointments, blood sugar levels, any topics that they want to keep track of. They can add their water intake each day, their stress, energy, motivation level. By using the journal feature, this will generate a separate report on calendars that you'll be able to review with them. When a patient comes back for follow-up, you can go to reports and you can look at each independent topic for review. So let's go back and let's talk about follow-up appointments. We recommend that follow-ups are done at a 2-week interval initially. A follow-up appointment is 10 to 15 minutes, but it allows you to address any issues that the patient may have, whether it's food or technology. During the course of follow-up, if a patient appears to be compliant in their caloric and nutrient goals, yet are not achieving expected results over the course of several appointments, this should be brought to the physician's attention. There are several areas they may want to address, including thyroid and hormone levels. If you have any questions regarding abnormal results of a patient, please contact Cornerstone Wellness to review. Once a patient reaches their body fat goal, they may be put on a maintenance plan. Use the edit feature in your admin component to go back in and edit the patient's calories. You want to edit the patient's calories. Let's go back to Sue Test to where they're no longer losing weight. Many patients opt to continue to use the Cornerstone shakes each day as it's nutritious, easy way to start the day. Periodic body composition testing should be done by the provider to help the patient succeed in lifelong management of healthy body composition and eating habits. We recommend that you watch the patient demonstration as well, the patient video as well. And if you have any other questions, as always, feel free to contact us at Cornerstone Wellness. We're always here to help.